Hello, welcome to Recapping with Delora
and Ashley.
Please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Recapping Podcast.
Also, comment, rate, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. We're on all the things.
We would love to hear your ratings of the movies and shows we review.
Email us your audio file to recappingpodcast@gmail.com and we will play it during the show.
Or DM us on Instagram and we will post and read it on air.
Thank you guys so much for listening.
Thank you.
Delora, how you doing, girl?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Hopefully living it up in Los Angeles, California. But I'm here with you at the moment because we have to talk about our girl, Emily, in Paris, because we are going to recap season 2. How do you say 2 in French?
Duh.
Season 2. Which, girl, 10 brand new half-hour episodes dropped on Netflix on December 22nd, and this show has remained in Netflix's top 10 since then. What I love about this show is it was so hated during season 1 in terms of people like watching it, but so many critics and people being like, what is up with this show? It's trash, but everybody's watching it. So it's almost like the little engine that could, because as I talked about at the end of our show last week, seasons 3 and 4, it's already been confirmed that they've been renewed for over at Netflix.
Yeah. Season 3 and un, deux, trois, quatre.
Oh, that's different. I've obviously never heard 4 in French before.
I mean, I have a complicated relationship with Emily in Paris, Ashley. As our listeners from the very beginning, her part 1 and 2 or part 1 and 2. It continued for season 2 for me. It did.
Well, before you get into that, I just want to say that as Delora mentioned, and I mentioned, we recapped this back in 2020 in November. We recapped season 1, 2 parts. It is still one of our most popular titles. So again, people love this show. And it is now Golden Globe and Emmy nominated. Believe it or not.
Side-eye. Yes.
So let me go back and give you guys the quick summary, which is Chicago marketing exec Emily Cooper got sent to Paris to provide an American perspective at a recently acquired marketing firm in Paris, Savoir. Creator, writer Darren Star still on board of Sex and the City and Younger fame. And our main cast is back, led by Lily Collins, still serving as a producer. I will not go back through the list, but newcomers in season 2, we have Lucien Leviscount as Alfie. We have Kevin Diaz as Benoit. And we have Jinwan Mao as Etienne. Both of them are band members of Mindy, which we will get into. So reviews, Delora, Rotten Tomatoes, 67% critic score, 38% audience score, but good old Google users, y'all always saving the day. 91% of y'all fuck with it. Delora, in our previous recap, you originally in part 1, because girl, I went back and listened. Originally,
look at you doing your homework.
I know. And let me tell y'all, our episodes ran so long. We so appreciate our OGs who stuck with us from the very beginning.
We were figuring things out. We
were green, but it was cute. Your original grade for part 1 was a C+, and then you changed it after part 2. Because remember, you only watched the first 5 episodes and then you went and finished it.
Yes.
You ended up with a B-. So give me your grade for season 2 of Emily in Paris.
All right. So my grade is based on the following. Emily is annoying AF. Okay. She is not a very likable protagonist for me. I don't know how she's bagging all of these dudes. I'm not seeing it. I was disappointed in the fashion this season. It had gone down a lot for me. There were like literally only 2 outfits that I were like, oh, okay, Though, Mindy came with the fire, okay? I'm like,
that bodysuit,
girl,
everything.
Body yaddy yaddy. Okay, we see y'all here, Ashley. So with that being said, it is such an easy watch, and I watched it twice. I still give it a C+.
Okay. All right. Well,
I didn't enjoy the evolution of some of the characters' relationships. It was kind of hard for me. So that's where I am.
I am so looking forward to talking to you about this because your tone has not changed much from our previous season. I can tell you that.
Yep.
My grade, however, has improved. I gave it a B for season 1. I give it a B+ for season 2. Let me tell you guys why.
Ooh.
Season 2 may not be an improvement in fashion, but if you guys remember, I wasn't a fan of the fashion in season 1 either. But what has improved for me is Emily in terms of her overall getting her footing in the city and not seeming as bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ooh la la, I don't know what's going on type of land that it felt like she was living in season 1, which again, I said I thought Darren Star was going to try to do.
The ignorance was very high in season 1.
Yeah, it was tame. She definitely was getting her footing and I appreciated it. And obviously, Mindy was my favorite in season 1. She remains my favorite in season 2. Period. So I love the expansive role that she had in this season.
Yes.
So it's a B+ for me. So spoiler alert, guys, let's get into the good. Now I know I kind of went in depth in season 1. We went episode by episode, but we are a little bit more experienced now. And we're going to give you a little bit of a higher level version than we did previously, because we're not trying to do 2 hours. So Delora, my friend, let's go back to Paris. For episode 1, Emily is still in the thick of her confusion over our season 1 cliffhanger, her rendezvous with Gabriel, who was supposed to be moving, but will be staying and opening his restaurant thanks to Antoine Lambert. Camille has no clue and is wondering how to handle his stay as well after their breakup. Emily decides to proceed with a romantic weekend to Saint-Tropez with Matthew, a client of Savoir, to distract. But unfortunately, Matthew overhears a call with Gabriel on the train, who apparently stayed for Emily in Paris, and Matthew dips. How would you feel about Emily's love life to start the season?
It was really messy, and she was having very loud conversations on the phone, talking to going on vacation with one man and talking about, like, to your point, a rendezvous with another man. I'm just like, this is messy. This is what I didn't enjoy, her mixing business and pleasure. Like, there were so many examples where her antics almost, cost her that check. And I was stressing out.
My next question was she playing with fire by following Sylvie's lead and dating clients, especially their biggest at Savoir, which is Pierre Cadeau?
Oh, absolutely. It was a mess. I wouldn't recommend it. But again, I'm very much an American. We are supposed to separate business, with our relationships. Obviously, humanity of it all, that doesn't always happen, but it's not necessarily culturally acceptable here like it may be elsewhere, specifically Paris, France, what have you. I just felt like she needed better game if she was going to do all this.
She's being a player. She needs to be a pimp out here in this world. No, I agree about the mixing.
Phones. Sorry.
Oh, Lord. I agree with the mixing of business and pleasure, especially in Emily's case, because her head wasn't right. She's using this as an opportunity to get away from the messiness that she's caused with the Gabrielle and Camille situation. Yes. And you should not be doing that with a business client who is genuinely interested in you. That was foolish. Yes. But I will say I thought it was interesting that they had it to where he overheard and then left, because I was like, well, damn.
I don't
left
blame
your ass
him.
on the
He
train.
deserved it. What was he supposed to do? You know what I
No,
mean?
I mean, Drake, know yourself, know your worth. I'm not blaming him. I'm just like, well, damn, Emily, you really stepped in at this time, girl. But yeah, I think it was unwise of her to play this game, especially because she's not on Sylvie's level, right? Sylvie's been playing this game for a long time.
Very long time.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Miss Mindy has a new gig performing at a drag club. Well, kind of. Her work permit is expired, so she's La Dame Pipi. In episode 2, Kami and Mindy come to Saint-Tropez to join Emily, who further stepped into some ish work-wise when she allows Pierre Cadeau's biggest nemesis to take photos with a branded product and spread it on social media. What do you think about Emily insisting on working during this trip, even when all her coworkers were saying it's against the law to work in France on weekends?
I think they were trying to play in, again, the Americanism, how we are. Americans are less likely to take sick time. Frankly, we're not even given enough sick time. Talk about pregnancy. At my last job, when I was pregnant and my client, they were French, they have time before delivery and time after the delivery for women, and their jobs, and then they're able to come back and be whole, healthy people. Whereas it's some foreign concept here to have even paid maternity leave for both women and men. So yeah, I think they were just playing up, good American apple pie work ethic.
I do think that they make Emily go a little bit overboard, though. I'm like, girl, you are on a trip to Saint-Tropez and all you can think about is work. Maybe for her, it's just such a good distraction. It's something she can control. Because as we even saw in season 1, she's a control freak. She likes to create calendars and charts and have some level of control over her life. So maybe in that regard, but I Googled, there really is a law in France against employers contacting employees during weekends or after work hours. So guys, if you're wondering and you didn't Google it yourself, that's a real thing. So
that's why we need to move over there, Ashley.
Well, you already have a head start on me because at least you can speak some of the language. I'd be coming over there hot like Emily. Like, I'm sorry, what?
And of course, it's so much faster and lower than what you get in your educational videos and audios.
Hilarious. We get to see yet another side to Sylvie, who is also in Saint-Tropez. Surprise, surprise. As it turns out, she's married to the manager of the beach club, Laurent G. I love the Sylvie surprises. Were you actually surprised that Sylvie's been married all this time, especially given her entanglement with Antoine last season?
I was not surprised at all. I was like, this is an OG, okay, who knows how to play the game properly. It was a big deal for her to be scandalous and the other woman for years or what have you. But she's the one with the husband too. Like, of course exactly. She is. Of course she's married.
She's so fascinating. I feel like we get so many layers peeled back just slowly with Sylvie, and I love it so much.
I really did enjoy her character more this year. Obviously, we got a chance to see more of her, but she was very interesting, like more free-spirited than I guess I anticipated. I mean, it's one thing to have an affair with your client. It's another thing to, be like, oh yeah, that's my husband. Again, not surprised, but she really
is. She was living her best life too. As far as our other two ladies, even though Kami is trying to move on from Gabrielle and get some strange on their night out, she confesses to Emily.
Not strange. Oh my God.
She confesses to Emily she's still in love with him. And Mindy is missing her dad after hearing he was recently in Saint-Tropez, but didn't even contact her. At this point, I had almost forgotten that Mindy went against her parents' and family's wishes to live the life she really wanted to live. That was sad.
Yeah. And for me, I was like, oh, it's official, right? Like, this isn't just all words. These are real actions where you were literally maybe a good 45 minutes of where I you know where I am and you didn't pick up the phone. I mean, honestly, I'd be feeling some kind of way when people be driving down 75. I'm like, I live off of 75. You could just say hi. We have a house, but okay.
Well, I live in one of the biggest tourist destinations in the country, but I still have plenty of people who have never been down here to see me. So I feel you. I understand. But it hurts. It hits different when it's your parent, because if nobody else fucks with you, my parents should be. They should be reaching out to me. It's that's supposed to be that unconditional love. And how you just gonna roll up to San Tropez and I gotta hear from the receptionist, "What's up, sister?" That you out here living your best life and didn't contact me. I felt some type of way as well for Mindy. So in episode 3, we're celebrating Emily's birthday with a dinner party hosted by Mindy. This one much better than in season 1 where she didn't know anybody. And Emily, who is on a mission to reunite Gabrielle and Camille. Best laid plans, Delora. While apologies were made and reconciliation looked promising between the two, Camille discovered the truth when she looked at that cast iron skillet girl, and Gabrielle's initials were on that damn skillet.
Yep.
She made it known as they were wrapping up the party and even tossed that sucker in the toilet. Do you feel like Camille was justified, or do you feel like she leapt to conclusions before she got the full story?
I feel like when it comes to Camille, that woman intuition was strong. Okay. And she was like, there are too many coincidences here. Okay. And I am sick of yo.
She was already, those spidey senses were already tingling about that skillet. It was already tingling.
And she brought it up too many times before because she felt salty about it, right? Because that was his prized possession, right? This is what I did not enjoy for season 2. All of season 1, Emily pining for Gabrielle. And then, oh my goodness, his girlfriend's amazing. We're all friends. And now you get it. It's the quote unquote best sex of your life. And you're actively trying to get him back with his girlfriend. Like,
she's trying to assuage her guilt. That's all I think about it, because obviously the chemistry is still there. Obviously the connection is there. And he wants her.
I didn't get a chance to enjoy that. I didn't get a chance to enjoy that because you know me, I am the romance person. Like I love this stuff, and you love it too, but you sometimes go along with it for me. So I appreciate that. For that, Ashley. But seriously, I didn't even get a chance to really enjoy her connections. And then the other thing that's going to come up later on in the season, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't know who I was rooting for.
We talked about this previously with this series. As soon as I found out that was Camille's boyfriend, the shipping of their relationship died for me, because it was almost like the reason why in Power, for those who watch Power, they introduced his affair in episode 2. I didn't even, in the whole series, I didn't even get a chance to get to know Ghost, to enjoy Ghost, before you're giving me this moral dilemma that forces me to decide, is he a good guy or a bad guy beyond the drugs? Yeah. So the same with this, you're immediately putting such a barrier in the way, which is Camille. She's so lovely. She was always there for Emily. She was so open and warm that no, I cannot actively root against her. And for me, Emily became wrong as soon as she continued to act on those feelings once she knew that was Camille's man. It's not like you and Camille are acquaintances. She spills her whole heart out to you about this man. Yep. And y'all, that's where you lost me, baby. That's where you lost me. So no, it was no longer something I could root for either, Delora. So one of my favorite scenes in this episode was Luke taking Emily to lunch for her birthday at a cemetery. Girl. Which he said he does every year for his own birthday. Do you have any birthday traditions that others might find odd?
Ooh. No, it's not odd, but there's an endearing tradition in my family. Like, my mom and dad both call and they sing happy birthday to me. And we do
Aw.
that for everybody's birthday. Like we have, come together and sing. So, but no, nothing odd in that way. I mean, I don't mean to get deep, but I feel like I've been thinking about death more than I think I've ever had in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm in, adulthood and losing grandparents and things like that, it just hits you. It just hits you differently. And we
Yeah.
kind of talked about that in our hot topics last week. And so I'm not saying I'm running away from it, but I don't think I would purposely put myself
In a position to contemplate it like that.
yeah, because like I'm busy trying to live
Yeah.
my life.
I can tell you, I think I'm on the exact same wave because even just turning a year older, when I tell you there are days where I feel like I used to just rush through in my mind because I'm trying to get to the next thing. I'm trying to get
Yep.
to the next whatever major milestone coming up is for me, whether that's work related, personal, a vacation, whatever.
Yeah.
Your mind just kind of is looking forward to that already. When I tell you I have enjoyed every hour of these last 12 days of January, because I'm like, girl, you better stop rushing your life. We don't know how much longer we got. So I'm with you. I am really starting to try to absolutely absorb and live in all these moments of life, from the big to the small, because you just never know. So me and Luke are on different pages.
I mean,
with that
is very true. And two more things, like even when it comes to health and quality of health, it's like, oh, I thank God at this very moment, I am not in any type of pain. I'm not in any type of discomfort. Mm-hmm. All of my organs are functioning. Like, thank you, Jesus, because that is a blessing,
For sure. And chronic pain is a huge issue in this country.
It really is. It really is. And I say that from understanding what, family members and things go through, but again, culturally, when it comes to everybody but Americans, for the most part, they're not afraid of a unhappy ending, right? They're not afraid of having, the tough conversations. You remember at the end of the movie, he was like, oh, their love is together forever, but they're dead and their bones were crushed into dust. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
we like the warm and fuzzy happily ever after. Yeah. I blame Walt Disney. I'm just kidding. I'm sure it's just, it's just cultural differences. But yeah, back to the birthdays. I'm not on Luke's same page. We're trying to live these we're trying to live these years to the fullest, Delora. So let's move on.
Again, really, one last thing with the don't look up, thinking about 22,000 years from now, it's like, oh, my brain can't even go that far. So let me do me now.
Let's see what happens.
Who's going to be relevant? Who's going to be relevant in 22,000 years from now?
I don't need it. In episode 4, as Emily is trying to make amends with both Camille personally and professionally, because remember, her family, their champagne is an account of savoir. She's still struggling with her French, even being held back in class, which is understood even better later in the episode with the painful letter she writes Camille. That was hilarious. Unfortunately, her first classmate pairing was with a klepto, but the second with Alfie from England is rather promising. Mindy gets an offer she can't refuse to leave La Dame Pipi behind and join a band with a couple guys singing around the city. Busking, which I didn't even know was a word, wasn't exactly, never heard of it, wasn't exactly what she had in mind. But again, one can forget that Mindy comes from money. I thought she was going to lay hands on that mime. And again, back to that bodysuit was everything.
Yes.
As we hit the midway mark in the season with episode 5, Emily is tasked with handling press for the opening of Antoine and Gabrielle's new restaurant and has yet another slip with him for a moment while taking pics for social. We just talked about this, Delora, but after all this happened, is this a couple that you're ever hoping will get together?
Emily and Gabrielle?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. again, when it comes to Emily's romantic side, I'm having a hard time because she be getting so many dudes, and I'm not saying she's not cute, but I'm not picking up what she's putting down apparently. And so for me, the Camille aspect of that love triangle is a major factor to where even though their chemistry was very palpable, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work. You mentioned that letter was funny to you. I wanted to punch her in the face. Like, I did not find that funny at all. I'm like, sis, what are you doing? And you're sending letters with your company head. Like, this is where mixing business and personal seems like a very bad idea. Camille could sue her or could sue Savoir probably. Like, oh, your employee is harassing me because guess what? She my boyfriend.
Well, it's France, so thankfully I don't think she was gonna go that route. But to your point, the business and the pleasure has been mixed all along, because again, she brought Kami in as a client, so already, I mean, it's just so messy. But so yeah, messy. No, I'm still not rooting for them. Meanwhile, she's also getting closer to classmate Alfie, speaking to the fact that she just be landing dudes left and right. Alfie is a Parisian cynic. Delora, you've been to Paris. Did you share any of his views on Paris being overhyped?
No. No, it was my moment. I had studied it for many years when I was studying the language in high school. So to finally get there, I was ready. And I've had girlfriends who've gone and said that they felt like the food was gross and it was stinky and all that. And that was just not my experience. Our experience was very magical, very, I'm a history buff, so very educational. So it was a lot of fun. I have to say though, when we went to France and then we went to Europe, my husband did say that he preferred the UK over France, and I felt like, well, you would say that because he didn't know any French, and for me, the UK just seemed like another city. Like, you know what I mean? Like it
wasn't
like,
different enough from American culture for you.
Exactly.
Like culturally,
Canada. like fun fact, you cannot eat in between breakfast and dinner. Like nothing is open. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they have large dinners. And that's a thing. And so just stuff like that, like you felt the cultural difference outside of the language. Whereas in the UK, it was like, yeah, this is cool. There's Big Ben and there's history there too. But the feel of it was just much different and more familiar.
I can understand that. Again, Alfie being from the UK and already being in Europe, I'm sure it's a difference in perspective, but his perspective did not dissuade me because I'm definitely going to make it to Paris at some point in my life. So Camille tells her parents about her love life shenanigans, and her mother gets very involved in a plan to help her get back together with Gabrielle, starting with putting Emily back on their account and Camille inviting her to lunch to bury the hatchet. Included was a pact to never be with Gabrielle. Highlight of the episode for me was Mindy singing Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend at a Savoir client party. Also, her love connection with her bandmate who she thought was gay.
Yeah. So 2 things to that. This is where I stopped liking Camille because I knew immediately when they made the pact not to bang Gabrielle that was a lie from the pit of hell.
It made her seem manipulative for the first time.
And the fact that Emily didn't pick up on the obvious was very surprising to me. Well, maybe not because she's oblivious 99% of the time. I'm going to get my attitude together. I promise. When it comes,
she did know. I just think she felt, have you ever felt so guilty about something that your guilt overrides your judgment? Because I've done that before where I will feel so bad about something that I'll put myself in a position to lose, even though just because I feel so bad. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. I just can't think of an example right now, but no, I understand what you're saying. That's a great point, Ashley. But one of the highlights of this entire season has been Mindy singing. Like, sis can really sing. Like,
yes, she can.
I don't think we got enough of her voice in season 1 for me to really appreciate it, but I mean, I was blown away this season by her vocal ability. Very impressed.
Yes, I can't wait to get to the last song, because that's such a hit for me. But yeah, again, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend. First of all, I love that song. I love Marilyn Monroe when she sang it as well. But Mindy just is the light of my life on the show. So I love every time I get to see her on screen. In episode 6, Sylvie becomes entangled with a young photographer from that same client party. At this point, I feel like both Sylvie and Mindy need a spinoff. I find them much more interesting than Emily. At Gabrielle's restaurant opening, he and Antoine butt heads over the vibe and atmosphere of the restaurant, with Gabrielle even storming out momentarily. Both Camille and Emily were there to help, to find middle ground. The lack of communication prior was glaring, Delora. Was Gabrielle unprofessional, or was Antoine inconsiderate?
Ooh, I felt like their egos just got in the way. Ultimately, I think I was surprised to see such a disconnect in the understanding of the vibe of the restaurant, whether it's going to be, a dine-in experience versus a club. Like, you would think that would be in the 101 conversation, right? That's the foundation of everything. And, some of the solutions to these episodes can be very elementary sometimes. It's like, oh my goodness. How about we get the best of both worlds? Dine in until 11, club until whenever, and so
I was just annoyed that for something that Gabrielle has worked his whole life for, he would be so quickly dismissive of such an amazing opportunity. Like, that felt a little disingenuous to me in terms of opportunity and reality, because I felt like they just wanted to give opportunity for these two women to have this hero moment.
Yeah.
But the miscommunication I could definitely see happening, where Gabrielle was assuming my food is the highlight of this night, right? My chef skills. And yet Antoine is looking at it, well, this is falling into the portfolio of what I do. And what I do is I give people a good time.
Yeah. Fun, fresh, sexy. Yeah.
Exactly. But obviously the night was a success, as we see. So the men were able to come to an agreement and we can move forward. In episode 7, it's a heat wave. Would you have survived the no AC heat wave of this episode? Because personally, I didn't realize that some Parisians were anti-AC, and I'm glad for that knowledge, because I will not be traveling there in the summer.
Oh yeah. Several years ago, it was so bad. A lot of their buildings are older, right? And some of them still had tin roofs. So the heat wave, it was a big deal. Like, it probably was maybe a good 10 years ago. I don't know what's been done since, but I mean, again, goes with the culture, and you got to do what you got to do. It's not like you can have all these outlets and things like that in these very old, it's an old city, Ashley, so you got to have some
such history. But I'm gonna need that AC. If it's artificial, whatever, Luke, I guess what, I'm smelling fresher than you. Okay. That's all I have to say.
You know me, I prefer to be cold over hot any day. So yeah, that would be,
people lose their minds when they're hot too. It's a whole different attitude when you hot. So
you can layer when you're cold. You know what I mean? Like, give me layers.
Now, I will say I'm somebody who it takes a lot to make me that hot, right? Like, that's why I moved to a warmer climate, because I can do the 80s and the 90s. But if you're talking no AC 80s and 90s, that's a different lifestyle, and I don't want to live it. So that's just me. Also heating up was Mindy's love life with her bandmate, and Emily's love triangle becomes a square when she and Alfie add some extracurricular activities to their partnership. A little snafu with his phone when Emily thinks he's ghosting her, but it was actually in the jacket pocket of his that she wore home, had her in her feelings for a minute. Laura, were you team Alfie?
No, I wasn't. Like, I was happy to see this handsome young man on the screen. But
So
in
handsome.
terms of rooting for, and don't get me wrong, he in any other setting would be Bay, right? Like handsome,
You know why
accent.
you're not Team Alfie? Because you think he's too good for her. That's what it is. You think he can do better. Tell the truth, Dolores. Tell the truth. You know that's it. You like,
Emily,
you can do better.
Again, I don't get the sauce. I'm not getting it. I just
All I kept thinking is how gross they probably were when they finally got together, because they've been out, it's sweating, but I guess when that passion overtakes you, I guess. But why do you think
when it gets fun?
Okay, Delora, we see how you roll. I love these little glimpses. Y'all don't even know. Why do you think she lied to Gabrielle about his jacket when he busted her doing that walk of shame home in the morning?
I don't know. Maybe she just didn't feel ready to tell him about her expanding her horizons. You know what I mean? Like,
she also lied about Alfie being the reason she didn't want to be with him when he confronts her with that news. So is she trying to still push him away and push him towards Camille?
Yeah.
Or is she lying even to herself?
I think she's lying to herself. I think what Emily really needed to do was figure out what she wanted. It's either have the guy or have the friendship, but you cannot have both, right? And mind you, it would mess up the dynamics between the girl trio situation she had going on with Mindy and Camille, but she had to make some decisions that she wasn't willing to make, and so mess.
One thing I want to say too that I realized this season, I don't know if they said in the season 1, but her and Gabrielle have been together for 5 years. That is a long time to be with somebody for them to flip on a dime the way it seems like Gabrielle has. So one thing I can say is, even if Emily did get with Gabrielle, when's the next Emily coming along? Am I going to be with you for 5 years too, and then some other little chick going to turn your head? Just curious.
And to be fair, I mean, Camille deserved to have that level of, you know, people don't own people, but you know, it's like, this has been my man.
Respect.
I know him. We have history. He knows my family. Like, and you just come on a whim and blow up my whole spot.
Thank you. They also had her being the only one fighting for this relationship. We didn't see Gabrielle putting in the same effort.
Because his mind was set on Emily, you know?
Again, am I going to be with you for 5 years? Then the next little Emily going to come walking around? Just asking. He may be another Antoine. We don't know yet. He's still young.
Oh my gosh.
In episode 8, Alfie and Gabrielle are developing an unwelcome bromance. Anti-France Alfie even loved Gabrielle's French food. Or Delora, was he actually more of a frenemy since Gabrielle intentionally overserved him so he and M couldn't go home and do some adult things?
Ooh, that's a mess. Again, to your point, for him and Camille to be together for 5 years and him being so hung up on Emily, it feels wrong. It feels wrong. What does that say about him?
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at him way more sideways in season 2 than I even was in season 1, because I'm just thinking about how that potentially speaks to his character of just moving with the wind. Like, why did you suddenly make this decision, and why are you not putting in more effort towards a relationship that you were in for so long? So I would love to know more about his psychology, but we don't get that in a light and fluffy bubblegum show like Emily in Paris. So speaking of frenemies, Emily headed back to Camille's family home for a promotion of their champagne that ended in her father cutting off the tip of his thumb and her mother using it as an opportunity to manipulate Gabrielle into coming. Thoughts on Camille's mother's involvement?
I almost wondered, was that on purpose? Him cutting off his freaking finger? Like,
I don't think the dad is on the same shenanigans as the mom, because the mom, she ain't miss a beat. She said, you know, I think it was really irresponsible of Emily to have him doing that.
Yep. Mom's gonna do what mom's gonna do. Again, mom has been there because it's been 5 years.
And I can't say, I'm not a fan of manipulation, but I can't say I blame the mom for having her daughters back, right? And for seeing,
that's what you expect.
Seeing the situation for what it is. So, being ride or die, I can't blame you, mom. Sylvie ran into Antoine and his wife while out with her new boyfriend, new lover, whatever she wants to call it, and let it get to her momentarily, declining an invitation to meet his friends. What'd you think of the ageism that was displayed? We talked about this a bit in season 1, but the ageism in reactions to her relationship, from Antoine to the waitress when she did actually go meet him and his friends, talking about, what do you and your son want to eat? What'd you think about that?
Well, I think it's interesting because in French culture, that's not a big deal. Younger men are with older women all the time. Their president is a prime example of that.
And which we talked about.
Kings in the past, young man obsessed with his 40-year-old lover. Like, so I'm not understanding it from a French perspective, because that's not a big deal like it is here, right?
You think it was kind of an insertion of American culture into the storyline?
Yes, I do.
That makes sense.
And not everyone's like a Trump who trade in wives every.
And let me just say, Sylvie's out here looking great and living her best life. So
that's what I'm saying. And they're not big. French women aren't big into the plastic surgery either. So like that obsession of youth and being young isn't prevalent over there.
Yeah, she looks great. All right, let's wrap up the season. Episodes 9 and 10, Delora. Madeline, American boss from back in Chicago, decides to travel to Paris fully pregnant for an executive check-in and to deal with Sylvie, who she butted heads with over new client Pelotech reaching into the Paris market, aka Peloton, because we all know what's really good.
Yep.
She wasn't playing on the business side. She came in hot, Delora, looking at the books, which I understood. But was it just me, or did they make Madeline seem a bit tacky this season?
I think it was power dynamics. I think she came in swinging her thing, the imaginary thing, and putting it on the table, literally, like her taking her table, making a mess. I think all that is power games, honestly.
I'm glad you put that perspective out there, because I couldn't get over the fact that I get that you're pregnant, but sis, you have business functions, eating in people's faces. She was getting some out of her teeth, then shaking Antoine's wife's hand, like getting crumbs off herself. Like the outfits, everything to me, I was like, why are they making you so tacky?
Yeah.
Because I don't appreciate that. I'm like, Madeline is an executive at a high-powered marketing firm in the States. Yeah. She should come in with a different level of professionalism.
Well, what's also interesting, she was supposed to be the one who knew French, and her French sucked. You notice that?
Yeah, she was not great. She was not great. I mean, obviously better than Emily, but she was still not on par with understanding not just the language, but again, the culture. You have a master's degree in French, and you're telling me you don't better understand the culture? Okay. Yeah. Mindy's crazy rich Asian secret is out after her bandmate Etienne, who found out who she really is, talks with a friend who is a journalist, ruins things with the band and her boyfriend Benoit for a bit. Love their reconciliation song, though, that we talked about just a few ago. That was a hit.
A certified bop, Ashley. It was so good. Her vocally, I cannot get over it.
But even the harmony, like, it gave me all the feels. Like, I was like, why is this not in my rotation on a playlist somewhere?
Oh, it's on mine. I found it. I'm a Shazammer, And what's so funny was I was watching this over the Christmas holiday, and I was watching this in the background, and my mom, who had not watched any of the series, she was like, that song sounds like it could be on the radio. And I'm like,
it's a great song. It is truly a hit, Mindy. Y'all did y'all thing. Y'all really did. I was definitely Team Alfie by the end of the season. When he heard about her and Gabrielle from Luke, he asked them straight out, kept it 1,000, and even stayed past his assignment for work to be with her longer. I loved him.
Yeah. I love all of that about Alfie. Like, just let's keep it a buck. Okay.
Yes.
We don't need to be doing silent glances like, am I here? Are we together?
This is another time, Delora, I'm like, insert me into this show. I will gladly take that fine, beautiful Black man off your hands. Come on, Darren. Come on. Let me go ahead and get in the cast for season 3. I'm ready. Anyway, after further differences between Sylvie and Madeline due to Sylvie's sexual relations with clients and Madeline's insistence on getting Pierre Cadeau's nemesis on their client roster, Sylvie, Luke, Julian, and the entire Savoir office quit, taking a couple of top clients with them. Emily is presented with a huge decision by the end of the season. Stick with the Gilbert Group and Madeline, her mentor, or accept Sylvie's offer to join her in her new company. What a huge change up from season 1 and the way that the French staff at Savoir felt about her.
Absolutely.
To wrap, just as she was about to tell Gabrielle she was in love with him, Delora, she pops up to find that Camille is moving in with him and she is crushed. Cliffhanger on her decision. I put in my notes, don't make a permanent decision off of a temporary emotion. Delora,
that's real.
What should Emily do?
Well, the show is called Emily in Paris. So I think she should go with the Paris group. I think that would be interesting to see her cut all ties to America in that way. But if she decides to stay with her mentor, it's also going to be interesting to see her building up an office and competing against her friends.
Exactly. That'll be juicy.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be really juicy.
But I can't see her outsmarting them, though.
But Emily's so good at her job. Like, that's one thing that I have not said and that should be noted. As annoying as people may find Emily, as much of a workaholic as she is, Emily is very good at her job. So I could fully see her helping Madeline to build it back up. But what I am going to say is that as much as I value loyalty, because I truly do, I think it's time for a change. After we spend more time with Madeline this season, I just worry that Emily is going to be stifled if she continues with her. Remember that whole speech Madeline gave about molding people to what you want them to be?
Yes.
I want Emily to become who she's meant to be, not who Madeline wants her to be.
True.
And I feel like she'll have much more latitude and flexibility if she follows and goes with Sylvie and that crew. So I'm with you. I want her to move on to the French firm. Do you have any final thoughts on Emily in Paris season 2?
It was definitely a fun, light, fluffy ride, especially over the holiday season.
Yeah.
I'm still confused about her love life. I mean, she's had some gem of some guys, and then they've come and gone, and I will say, I do wish to see Alfie again.
Yes.
I hope he's just not in the rotation, because he could be a potential keeper for sure, but yeah, that's my final season. I just want better fashion. And let's not forget, people are actively speculating whether or not Samantha is going to pop up in Emily in Paris, but because she's only in London, you know what I mean? And Darren Star is the same creator of the show. I'm
just curious if she has beef. I mean, we know she has beef with SJP, but does she have beef with anybody else who worked on Sex and the City? We don't know.
I would suspect that she did, because I mean, granted, SJP being the staple of the show, but I would imagine the way people treated her played a role into that as well. You know what I mean? The difference between the two. So it might not just be SJP.
Yeah, but it would be fun to see such a crossover. And to your point, I would love to see more of Alfie. God, I would love to see more of that man. I had seen him previously in a movie called Trust. and he was a very different character than he is in this. I think he's such a sweet, good guy. I want to see him succeed no matter whether he stays with Emily or not, in terms of, you know, finding what he wants to find. And I'm just curious of what we're going to do with Miss Emily. You know, again, we talked about this in season 1. They love to do this will they, won't they? And now that we have 2 more seasons, are we going to keep playing this game with Gabrielle? Can we move on? Like, I really don't want to keep playing this game, you know, with the 3 of them. I'm over it already at the end of season 2. So let's move forward. Let's find some new horizons and some new exciting adventures. And I'm excited to continue to explore, you know, Paris, because I do think as the seasons progress, we're going to get so much more of that local feel and perspective. I already saw that they're going to continue to shoot there. So I'm looking forward to sticking with it. I binged this so quick. When it dropped on the day before my birthday, I binged it. Between that night and my birthday, I finished the whole series.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
wow.
I was watching it on my phone and everything. I was like, oh, hold on, I gotta hurry finish this show real quick.
Man.
Yeah, I loved it. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. And Lily Collins, you know, congratulations on your marriage and congratulations on the success of, you know, Emily in Paris, especially behind the scenes. You know, that's huge. That's a big deal. So
it is.
Good for you, sis. And I love this cast. So y'all keep doing y'all thing. I'm following a lot of y'all on social now. So Delora, that is it for our recap of Emily in Paris season 2, girl. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you continue to enjoy the series as well. And Delora, let's get into these hidden gems for the week. What you got for the people?
All right, I have 3 this week, and they're all television shows. So the first, we've talked about this in our previous conversations. Grand Crew, the new NBC sitcom, starring an all-Black cast. It's like NBC's, I was going to say Black Friends, but we all know Friends came from Living Single. So how about that? But this show is male-focused. So there are 4 African-American men leads and 1 woman, or actually they're 2 women, but the, you know, most notable is Nicole Byer. But this show is pleasant. Like, I love it because it shows Black men in the light that I know them. I know them to be, you know, goofy, fun-loving, professional, good at their jobs, I don't want to say non-threatening because that's a triggering word, but they're
layered,
just being themselves. You know what I mean?
Human beings.
They're not thugs. They're not pimps. They're not players. One loves rom-coms and wants to be in one. The other is, you know, the professional guy who's really good at his work, trying to find love. And the other one is actually married to a high-powered woman, and just seeing their dynamics. And for example, the more recent episode talked about Black men in therapy. Yay. Like, that was one of the things we talked about. So cute. And one of the guys was attracted to his therapist. It's a pleasant show.
Glad you're highlighting this because I'm gonna have to give it another shot. Me and my cousin started the series while she was here, and she was like, Ashley, this is weird. And so we didn't keep on with it.
It got better. It gets better. It really does. Another television show, My Hidden Gems, isn't quite hidden because it is a major hit for ABC, and that is Abbott Elementary. It is so good, like to the point where I'm actively looking forward to it each week. Actually, I've watched all the episodes. There's only been 3 multiple times.
You realize this is your second time highlighting it as a hidden gem. So clearly she loves this show. I love it too. I'm not going to lie. The reason
why I'm bringing it up is because I think it was just the first episode and I was just very impressed by it, but I don't want it to be overhyped, but every episode is such a gem. And I had such a difficult week this week. And when I got a chance to sit down and watch it, it was the highlight of my evening. And so excellent job, Quinta. I'm loving the dynamic between her and Tyler James Williams. And Principal Ava is a mess. And I love it. And of course, the great Shirley Ralph is doing the damn thing. So a lot of fun. And my final hidden gem this week. So what inspired this one is, the recent passing of the great Betty White. I was going through her, TV shows and movies just to see what I've seen and what I hadn't. And the Golden Palace was one of them. It was a spinoff of the iconic Golden Girls show. But it only features 3 of the Golden Girls, Rose, Sophia, and Blanche. But we have Don Cheadle and Chi, who they were all together on this sitcom in 1992. Mind you, I was less than 10 at this point, but I didn't know this was a thing. And so when I saw that Hulu released it, I was like, come through Hulu with the hidden gems.
I told you we were on the exact same page. I'm on like episode 6. So.
Yes. And so watching it was just a thrill. And Betty was all of them amazing, but Betty was a true talent in comedy, and she will be missed. And this is just, comfort food for the soul.
I am literally watching, can't hear because obviously we're recording the Golden Girls season 1 right now. So,
all right,
miss you, Betty. All right, my hidden gems. My first one is a holdover from the holidays, which is Making It, which is an NBC show. I watched season 3 on Hulu, so I need to find seasons 1 and 2. It's a makers competition. I really enjoyed this. Hosts are Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman. So all you Parks and Rec lovers like me, you'll really get a kick out of this. It's fun, it's creative, it's colorful, all the things. I love a good competition show. This one really caught me because I had never seen a makers, and I love to see people make things. And so I got really excited when I saw this, and I want this barn, like this barn that they have, is their workshop. I need that in my future backyard because I just love it. I want it to be my she shed. So a little inspiration from that show. Loved it. That is Making It. Again, it's an NBC show. Season 3, I know at least, is available on Hulu. My second hidden gem, The Great, which stars both Elle Fanning and Nicholas Hoult, who were nominated for Golden Globes for their roles. Didn't realize that before I started it. Based around Catherine the Great of Russia. 2 seasons. I'm halfway through season 2, and it has been a hell of a ride. If you like period comedy dramas,
love.
This may be right up your alley. And Delora, I know this is your genre, especially. 2 catch-up series for my final hidden gems, which is Euphoria season 2. If you guys haven't seen that premiere yet, woo, Lord, child, it is a lot. So I am nervous skited for what the rest of the season looks like. And then Search Party, a previous hidden gem of mine, they just released their 5th and final season. And this ish took a turn. So, stick with it. It's really a genre bending series where they kind of switch up every single season, kind of thematically what they want to do. And it went out on an interesting note. I will say that. So, Delora, that's all I have for hidden gems. And that's all we have this week for our episode. Go ahead.
Breaking news while we're recording. Jason Momoa, Lisa Bonet have broken up.
No!
After 16 years together, almost 5 years married.
I'm not even going to digest that. I'm going to let that sit, guys. Let's wrap this episode, Laura, and then I can go look out on these internets. Guys, I'm on vacation, so we will not have a new episode on Thursday, but we will post a revisit of a previous recap. Delora, yes. What are we revisiting for the people?
One Night in Miami.
Oh, yeah. Taking it back to February 2021. This is basically just a taste for you guys. Starting us off for Black History Month. Obviously, we just celebrated MLK's birthday. So that'll be dropping on Tuesday, the 25th. And then we will be back with a new episode chatting about headlines and hot topics, which we'll have to broach this breaking news today at that point in time. And that will drop on Thursday, January 27th. So, Delora, I love you so much. And guys, I'll see you then.
Love you, Ashley. Bye.